Ghana. Between us, we're already reaching many regions in Ghana, and we invite you to join us.
Oh, Sophia, you're on mute.
Pardon me. Right, I'm here now. Thank you, Leila. That was a good introduction. My name is Sophia Achampong. I'm the founder and executive director for Girls Flow Free. Our mission is to eradicate period poverty to enable girls reach their full potential. As mentioned together, tonight has been put together to inspire us as small charities on the things that we do together throughout Ghana. Nkabom is a key word meaning bringing together and connecting hearts, and was chosen for this event to connect our individual projects within the British-Ghanaians, UK-based Ghanaian diaspora, and those working and with interest and connection to Ghana. A few housekeeping guidelines for this evening. Please use the chat to ask questions and discuss. We want you to get interactive. Emojis are a great tool to let us know how you're enjoying the evening, so use them, feel free, it's free, because it is Girls Flow Free. We also do ask that you mute yourselves to ensure that we don't have any feedback, but there'll be time for you to ask questions. And when that time comes during this evening, we encourage you to come off your mics on mute and join in the conversation. Thank you very much, and we are pleased to have you with us this evening.
And as you've heard, as tonight came together, it's my turn to tell you how tonight's going to go. So my name is Claire Hardy. I am the co-founder and managing director of Move the World. Our mission is to educate as many young people in Ghana to be active global citizens. We do this through our Get Global program, which I'll tell you all about a bit later. But tonight we are absolutely honored to have Afia Adom and Dawid Konote Ahulu with us this evening. I won't steal their thunder on who they are and what they do, but I will tell you that you're in for a treat. A very, very big thank you to Kelly Lucas for jumping in quite last minute to help support us through moderating this conversation, as well as emceeing the whole night. Tonight, you will hear from our speakers just mentioned, and their thoughts on what Nkabom means to them and their fundraising moments that have made a lasting impact on their thoughts and processes. We'll then get into the pitching section of the evening, where each of us, Leila, Sophia, and I will step into the quote unquote dragon's den, and we will present our charities to you for 6 minutes. If there ever was an elevator pitch, this has got to be it. After each presentation, the room, you here, will be open for 4 minutes of questions, and then we'll move on to the next. At the end of the evening, you'll have the opportunity to donate as a collective. We know it can be kind of difficult to decide whether your money is best spent in entrepreneurship, in period poverty, or in education. So we've made that easy for you. We're splitting the donations 3 ways to ensure that each corner of Ghana can be impacted with your support. The link will be posted throughout the evening in the chat. But without further ado, I will pass this over to Kelly and our speakers. And once again, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Claire, and thank you, ladies, for your introduction to yourselves and the evening. Thank you also for everybody who is here tonight for spending your evening with us and spending the time with our guests as well. So welcome, Dawid and Afia. And just to begin with, if you could tell us a little bit about yourselves. So Afia, I'm going to come to you first. Just a brief introduction to yourself, please.
Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. My name is Afia Adom, and I am a journalist and broadcaster. I was born in Glasgow. I now live in London, and I generally, what do I work in? What area do I work in? Well, I talk about lots of things, news, current affairs, diversity, women's issues, a little bit of entertainment as well. And I'm also the editor of Cocoa Women magazine, and a mum, and some other things as well. So that's me.
Fantastic. What a very human introduction indeed. Thank you. And I was trying to work out where your accent was, and now it makes sense. I have a friend who is, also originates from Glasgow. Dawid, please, an introduction from yourself.
Kelly, thanks so much for the kind invitation to take part. Claire, I've known now for a few years, and I just love what you guys are doing tonight. So I'm just blown away by it, and I can't tell you, this is exactly where I want to be spending my evening. Really excited about this. You know, before we came on, actually, we were kind of saying to each other, how are you all feeling? Is this like a 4 out of 5, a 3 out of 4? I mean, we were all like, this is a 5 out of 5. So we are super excited to be here. My name is Dawid. I'm the son of a Ghanaian doctor. My mother is an English nurse. She doesn't work anymore. She just turned 90 last Sunday. But my parents are, one's black, one's white. So I grew up, you know, true mixed heritage, I think is the right way to describe it now. But I'm mixed race. And I grew up, I spent most of my formative years in Ghana. I grew up there. I went to the greatest school in Ghana, Achimota. I know. If you didn't go there, then you don't see it that way, but I'm telling you, it is. And I came here when I was 16. And yeah, I qualified as a lawyer, and then I went into finance, and I spent most of my time working in the world of pensions and banking. So now I guess I'm an entrepreneur. I set up a couple of firms, and yeah, now I'm working on racial equality. So I'm spending a lot of time talking about race and talking about belonging and talking about how we create firms and a culture where everybody feels like they belong. And race is a great lens to look at that through, but it's not just about race. It's not just about if you're black working in a firm that's mainly white. It's about if you're a woman. It's about it's about your orientation. It's about if you think differently. It's about if you're disabled. It's about anybody who feels like they don't belong. I'm spending a lot of time now about talking to firms and talking to senior leaders about this business of creating a culture where everyone feels like, yep, this is my tribe. These are my people. I belong. So I love anything to do with Ghana. And any program that will help Ghana, I'm a huge supporter and fan of. So yeah, that's me.
Wow, that's both amazing introductions. Thank you. And there are so many things I personally would love to talk to each of you about. You both kind of referred to that belonging piece in slightly different ways. And I also have some stuff that I do on that. So I'm going to catch up with both of you after this. But we have other things to talk about tonight specifically. So, you know, the theme for this conversation is based on the word of Nkabom. Hope I pronounced that right, which is the word that these 3 charities have chosen to express the collaboration of connecting hearts and hands. And therefore, we're going to discuss your connections to charities who are working in Ghana. That's the theme for the conversation this evening. So let's start with why you give to charities in Ghana, and in addition to any family members you might support back home. So Dawid, let's come straight back to you.
Okay. So this is an interesting question. Why do I support charities in Ghana? And I think for me, it's about this idea that with opportunity, people can change the world. And it doesn't matter where they are or who they are. You give them the tiniest opportunity sometimes, and they can change the world. So, you know, until I was 16, I said I grew up in Accra. I was the son of a Ghanaian doctor. My dad was paid by the government, not very much. I think his salary was $32 a month, so $1 a day, which is what they sometimes talk about. And that's the world I grew up in. So we were not rich by any means. I mean, if you judged us by the standards of the West, we were a poor family. And if you'd measured me against any kid in the West, you would have said, that guy is probably not going anywhere, and he's not going to do very much, really. I mean, I didn't travel very much. I grew up on a little hospital campus in Accra called Kolebu, which I had a most fantastic childhood. I can't tell you, but it wasn't about having money, but that was where I learned that it's about friends, and it's about trust, and it's about relationships, and it's about what you do with what you have. But those times in those 16 years, they were often, there was a lot of bloodshed, there was violence, there was a couple of revolutions. I mean, this was a place where there was a lot of uncertainty, and at some level, a general sense of anxiety, I guess, perhaps you could say. Certainly much more than you would find here, where everything just worked. I remember I'd come here occasionally and everything just worked. I mean, it was just like, you didn't need to wake up in the morning and wonder whether there was going to be a coup or a revolution or anything like that. But what it did was it helped you to just be cool with uncertainty. You ended up growing up realizing that actually life isn't certain. But it's about making smart decisions, and crucially, it's about opportunity. And I always remember I had a friend as I grew up, a guy called Kofi, It's not his real name, but you know, you'll figure out why in a second. And he and I went to school together. We were in the same class. We were the same, you know, we got the same results in every test pretty much. And we enjoyed the same humor. We listened to the same Motown. It was done Motown, right? So we're talking like mid-70s and Michael Jackson. We loved all this stuff. We had the same brain. But we didn't have the same opportunities. I had more opportunity than he did. Certain opportunities came my way that didn't come his way. And I saw him recently, and he's struggling, you know, and life didn't work out for him in the way that it worked out for me. And you know, at one point in time, we were identical. We were the same 9-year-old kids, the same 10-year-old kids, 11. We went to the same school. But when you look back and you say, why is Kofi where he is now? And why am I where I am now? Which is that I'm in a land now of opportunity. I can do things. I can make things happen. Why? Because I've met people who can make things happen. Why? It's about opportunity. That's ultimately what it's about. And so charities that give opportunity to young people or to anyone really, I'm all over, and that's what these 3 charities do, by the way. And it doesn't have to be a huge opportunity. You don't have to give someone a scholarship to go to Eton or Harrow. You just have to give them the opportunity to be able to go to school every day of the month, to be able to read something that they couldn't otherwise read, to understand that men and women have an equality about them, which doesn't mean that which doesn't mean. Okay, we have the radio going in the background. That's fine. Figure out why are we jumping around. Okay, are we cool?
Yeah.
Maybe it's a signal to say, Dawid, stop talking. So I will. I will. It's about opportunity, and charities that give opportunity, I'm mesmerized by, I'm fascinated by, and will always support. So yeah, I'll take that as a sign from the universe.
Well, it certainly wasn't me. I wasn't pressing buttons or anything. And I think, Dawid, that was a really powerful response. And I really loved the fact that you talk about friends, trust, and relationships, and that's that is a huge part of life and how we move on and how we interact with other people in the world. But I use that a lot when I talk to people, but that key thing about opportunity is something that I probably miss out of the stuff that I talk about. So I personally will thank you for that response and think it's a really powerful reason for guests getting involved. Thank you. Afia, what about you?
First of all, I so agree with what Dawid said about opportunity. It's such an incredible thing, isn't it? And I think when it comes to myself and my own charitable aims, as it were, really comes from my parents. So they settled here, well, not London, but in Scotland via Northern Ireland. My dad went to university at Queen's in Belfast and studied dentistry. My mum studied nursing in Rochdale, and they met at a Manchester United match, a true story, and got married. And my dad ended up buying a dental surgery on the west coast of Scotland, completely random. But he went there via the dental hospital in Glasgow, which is renowned for working with pioneering surgeons in Northern Ireland to rebuild faces and jaws that were damaged during the Troubles in the 70s and 80s. So my dad was a maths teacher, a pharmacist, then a dentist, then a pioneering facial surgeon. And he managed to do all these things because of what Dawid said, because of opportunity. But my mum and dad will tell me the most incredible stories about people who were kind to them along the way. As in, my dad used to tell me about his best friend Marvin from university, who had a red sports car, and they used to drive from Northern Ireland to Manchester to see mum and stay in his father's house, because they weren't able to go home for Christmas. And they used to have Christmas at all these people's houses, would just take them in, were just kind to them all the time. And so my mum and dad always paid that forward. So I've never had a Christmas without a stranger at the dinner table, because my mum and dad would literally find someone. I mean, if it was the 23rd of December and they hadn't found someone, it was a panic. So it ranged from international students in Glasgow. And in Glasgow, I'm not going to lie to you, there was maybe 5 Black people, and I knew 4 of them because they were in my family. So if you were in town and you saw another Black person, you would literally go up and talk to them and have a conversation, and they'd come round to the house and have dinner and turn up on Christmas Day. And I loved it because we met all these amazing people who became part of our extended family. And, my mum and dad talked so much and so extensively about the kindness that they were shown throughout their lives that made them able to establish their life on the west coast of Scotland near Glasgow, that enabled my brother and I to go to school and get the degrees that we wanted and go off and have our opportunities. And so when we had flown the nest, my dad started a school back in his village in Ghana, in Crofa, which is just sort of like an hour from Kumasi. And for me, it was not just about sending a child to school, it's the fact that he built a school that we sent books to, and we sent solar lamps to, so they could take them home, so they could learn at home. We're continuing, my father passed 2 years ago, but we're continuing infrastructure so they can have Wi-Fi in the village, like all these kind of things. And my dad always said, the kindness that he was showing throughout his life has enabled him to do that kindness going forward. And I just think that it's so simple and it's so important. And when I think of all these people that turned up at the dinner table in all my years, I'm still in touch with so many of those people. So many of those people were at my dad's funeral, and they told me just so many amazing stories about things that my mum and dad did for them that enabled them to do other things. And it's one thing, it just takes one thing, one person to do one thing to make an impact on someone's life, and the ripple effect of that is enormous. And that for me is so important, and that's why I think I'm motivated to be involved in charities that are involved in Ghana, involved in communities, because it just takes one person to do one kindness, and like I said, the effect on that can be lifelong lasting. So yes, that's my motivation.
Perfect, thank you so much. And that last thing you said is so true. Quite often I talk to people and they say, but there's so much to do, where do we start? Just do one thing, as you say, starts that reaction, doesn't it? That's fantastic. Now, we've kind of talked about what the motivation is, and you've shared a bit of history with us, but can you share a moment where you felt your donation really made a difference? I mean, Afia, you've kind of touched on this already because you were talking about the school and the strangers that you had at your dinner table. But, when you've donated specifically, can you share a moment where you feel it's really made a difference? David, I'll come to you again.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've known Claire, like I said, now for a while, and I can't tell you, I'm so blown away by Claire, and she's going to be embarrassed with me saying this stuff, but Claire, I met you, I can't even remember where it was, in a bar somewhere, because I was talking to someone else and they knew you and you happened to be there, and we got chatting, and it turned out that you were doing cool stuff in Ghana, and I said, tell me about it. And I was just blown away by the fact that this young woman who, basically didn't have any particular connection with Ghana, had gone there and had just, out of the kindness of her heart, she had just thought, I need to make a change here, and had settled down there, and from an extended period of time, like weeks and maybe even months, I think Claire remind me, but something like that, and had just settled in this village and just decided, I am going to teach these kids dance, and I'm going to teach them a whole bunch of stuff around, that was just going to make them just broaden their skill set. And I was blown away by that. And so I supported Move the World, and sometimes we meet up, and Claire, you came to see me pre-pandemic, and I remember we sat in a room in my firm, and we were chatting, and you were telling me, I was saying, tell me a bit about what's happening down there, just kind of this, tell me some stuff. And so you started telling me about how some of the staff, Move the World staff, had been working with these young kids, really young, like 7, 8 years old, and you were talking to them about the business of being a boy or being a girl, and you'd ask them, so what do boys do? And everyone put their hand up, and the boys did boy stuff. What do girls do? And the girls did girl stuff. So who sweeps the floor? Well, it would be the girls. Who does the cooking? It would be the girls. I can't remember what the boys did, but the girls seemed to do all that kind of stuff. And then you did this talk, and the essence of the talk was well, why does it have to be that way? What if the boys swept the floor? What if the boys did the cooking? All the boys are like, why would I do that? And then you worked with them and showed them that actually didn't have to be that way. And then I remember it morphing into a conversation about, what does the president, draw a picture of the president, and the president was always a man. And then there was this question, why is it always a man? Why does it have to be a man? Why can't it be a woman? And like, it can't be a woman, of course it can't be. And then slowly you worked with them and showed them, and it wasn't just you, I know it was the whole team, and you showed them that actually, you know what, there have been some amazing women presidents, and sometimes the women presidents, oftentimes the women presidents are better than the man presidents. So it turns out the women who run the show, often they run it better than the men. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, this is how you change it. It's ordinary little things done consistently over and over again, which you are doing with these kids, that is reprogramming how they think. And then I remember you telling me about this little boy who was so blown away by what you had taught him, or what the team had taught him about the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. He was so moved by it. I mean, I think you're going to have to jump in and help me here, Claire, but he was like 11 or 12, and he had changed his name to End Poverty, right? He went around the whole town and he's like, guys, I'm not called Kwame anymore, I'm called End Poverty. That for me is change, you know, that is big stuff. And for me, I get emotional even talking about it. I love what you're doing out there. And yeah, for me, that is, you know, I hear that and I'm like, yeah, I got to get behind this.
Fantastic, thank you.
Said it all.
Claire, am I right? Claire, tell me, I mean, was it End Poverty and was he about 11?
He was 11 and it was no poverty. That's the first sustainable goals.
Yeah.
But
yeah, amazing story. Yeah.
Renamed himself No Poverty, and his goal is to start a company one day of his own and ensure that all of his employees are paid properly.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dawood, for sharing that. And as you say, you know, all of these stories are incredibly inspirational. And you may have embarrassed Claire, but I do it on a regular basis. So join the club. And Afia, do you have anything else? I mean, I know you talked about the school that your father built, but is there anything else that you'd like to share?
Yeah, so one of my father's sister's daughter, who is quite a bit younger than me, she's 17 now, but she was born deaf. So she had quite a few operations, I think, when she was younger, but didn't really manage to restore her hearing. So we managed to get her a specialist teacher and specialist hearing aids for her to go through school so she could attend mainstream school, the school in the village. I'm really happy to say that she is going off to university. This September, she's going to go to the University of Ghana. And when she was little, when she was born, you know, her mum and dad, it was not going to happen. It was not even on the cards that she would be able to attend school. So that's really exciting for me. It's really exciting for her. You know, we really wish that Dad was here to see it, but he's not. But it's just so amazing what can be done, you know, when you have the ability to be able to give. And also we've given to this company as well that makes water filters, basically. So what they do is they make these water filters in these like massive, you know, like water containers, dish them out around the village. So when people collect water, when it rains, the water filters through the filters, but they also put them in all the septic tanks so that you can have drinking water from the taps in the houses in the village, which when you're here, it's like, yeah, fine, I'll drink the water out of the tap. Well, I don't drink tap water, but you know, you can do it. But you know, in Ghana, you
Yes.
can't drink tap water, but to have a village where you can drink tap water is amazing, and it tastes great as well. So that's a couple of things that we've done that's really lovely to see the positive effects of.
Having lived in Ghana, I know the incredible impact of having water that you can drink from a tap is. Yeah, certainly wouldn't go near it where I was living, for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing those incredible stories. I knew this would happen. We are slowly running out of time. We did put aside a few minutes for anyone attending to ask Dawood and Afia any questions. So if you can be starting to think about those, put them in the chat channel if you so wish, or we can come to you and take you off mute. So I think probably the last question I'm going to get to ask you is what are some of the challenges do you think small organisations, particularly who are working in Ghana, face in the current world climate? Dafia, I'm going to come back to you.
I think those challenges are based around infrastructure, right? So finding out who needs what and getting it to them in the right way. I think that's a really huge deal. I think infrastructure is a huge thing, and also communications, making sure that there is reliable mobile phone signal and Wi-Fi. And again, that helps with the infrastructure, doesn't it? It's making sure that you can contact people. But I really think it is about getting the help to the people that need it, and getting it spread out in the right way, and also making sure that people know that they can access these services, and that's about the communications. So yeah, I think those are the biggest challenges.
Perfectly put, and very succinctly put. And I think that thing about the infrastructure, figuring out what people need, hearing from them what they need and getting it to them. Yeah, absolutely, a key challenge and a key impetus to make sure that you get it done in that way. Dawid, what are your thoughts on that?
I think a big challenge that a lot of small charities face, it doesn't matter if you're a small charity today, you're just trying to get airtime and just trying to get noticed by anyone there's so many demands on everyone's resources, right? I mean, there's any number of places that people can donate, and I think people are often very parochial. I was talking to someone yesterday who's pretty wealthy, and I was trying to get them to support something in West Africa, and they were like, well, I only really support the UK because the UK's got enough issues and so on. I think most of the world's money, if we think about it, is in Europe or it's in the US, and there's a sort of parochialism that just means that why would I support a charity doing something in the north of Ghana? And I think that's a really unfortunate perspective, but it's just the reality of the world. And in the economic climate we're in, people don't have a lot of money. So if you're a small charity like the three we're talking to here, and you're trying to just raise some modest amount, it's really hard to get that airtime. And so, which is why this evening is so massive and so important, because you get to just tell your story and just show what a difference you can make. And I've always thought that this expression I heard once, it was by a Russian psychologist called Yuri Bronfenbrenner, which is a great name. I love that, Yuri Bronfenbrenner. Yuri Bronfenbrenner said, and this for me is one of the most powerful things that I think I've ever heard. I love it. If I ever get a tattoo, by the way, it's going to be right down here. It's what I'm going to have inked down here. But he said this: every child needs in their life at least one adult who is irrationally crazy about them. Every child needs in their life at least one adult who's irrationally crazy about them. And that's so true. Those of us who have found our footing and found our way in life despite the challenges is because there was someone somewhere, it might have been a teacher, might have been a mom, might have been a dad, whoever, someone who was irrationally crazy about us. And these charities that we're talking about now, the three of you guys, I think that's what you are. You are being irrationally crazy about that kid who is changing his name to end poverty. I mean, that's someone who's irrationally crazy about it. I mean, why would Claire, why would any of you guys be showing that guy that kindness out there? He's 11 years old. Why? But it's irrational and it's crazy, but it makes the difference. And so that's what I love about it, and which is why I think an evening like this is just it's huge.
Thank you so much. There are a couple of questions that have come in on the chat. So in the interest of time, I'm going to ask them for you. I hope that's okay. So Megan has a question for Dawid. Given your experience in business, what are your thoughts on how small charities like these can work alongside the business sector to further advance their work? Often businesses work with much bigger, well-known charities. Have you got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think the answer is that what's great about a world like today is you can have an event like this, you can record it, and then you can play it, right? And you just literally, we can take this and we can send a link to the CEO of an enormous organization that is doing big work or maybe it's got huge commercial interests in Ghana. So maybe it makes, I don't know, maybe it makes women's products, hygiene products, for example. You can just send that link to the CEO and just say, you should watch this because this tells you what's going on in this part of a country where you work. You should be supporting this. And so I think it's about being smart, and it's about telling your story. You've got to tell a great story, but you've got to be able to tell it, and you've got to be able to get it out there. And there's never been a time, if you think about it, we are living at the very, very forefront of history in this space. There's never been a time like this. You are better able now to tell your story and get it out there than ever in history. Never been, using this piece of kit, you can get your story anywhere, like immediately. And so that, I think there's something in that. Learn to tell your story and then work out who you're going to send it to, and have an ask. Say, this is what I want from you. Will you do this thing? Because you will change. This is how you will change lives. And I think, I think the time is now.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Really good insight in there. We've got another question from Janice. So she says, my experiences are in education, particularly in special needs. Have you got any examples of enterprises in subsistence areas? She's highlighted the Upper East, which bring improvements in quality of life within communities. Afia, do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't have examples of any charities to hand per se, off the top of my head, unfortunately. I'm sure we can find them out. And again, that's about infrastructure and communication, isn't it? It's about finding those charities and finding the need. But the need is certainly there. And I'm sure if that person has experience in that area, she can definitely be plugged in with a charity that deals with that. I don't know any off the top of my head though, unfortunately.
That's fine. Thank you very much. Dawood, have you got anything to add to that?
So just ask the question again. I kind of half heard it, but just my experience, I can see it here, particularly in special needs. Please give examples of enterprises. I know the Upper East, which brings improvements in quality of life within communities. I'm thinking of a charity that works in the north of Ghana called Shekinah, which I know deals with, it depends how you define special needs, but it deals with mental health. And it's specifically, and it's an incredible organization. It's run by a friend of mine she's very heavily involved, called Pippa, and I'll see if I can find a link and put it in there. But I'm not like an expert in charities, but and what they do in those areas, but let's see if we can find something and put it in there. Yeah.
Lovely. Thank you, both of you. Just asking if anybody else has got any questions, if they just want to put them in the chat, or raise your hand and we'll take you off mute if you want to ask yourself. Whilst we're waiting for that to come through, we've got a couple more minutes, so I'm going to sneak back to my own questions that I didn't get to ask, and particularly we the collaboration is called Nkabom, and it means connecting hearts and hands, and I wanted to ask you what that means to you in the context of supporting small charities working in Ghana. Afia, if I can come to you on that.
To me, that means bringing like-minded people together, like the charities that we have here this evening, who have a common goal, and whether that's in period poverty or entrepreneurship, the common goal is to help people in different communities in Ghana. And I think it's plugging everybody into each other's networks, because everybody has, like I said, the same goal to want to help people. So it's about plugging into everybody's networks. It's about collectively raising money and getting that out there. And I think that's a really powerful thing to do. And that to me is the essence of connecting hearts and hands. It's connecting people with like-mindedness, plugging into the networks, getting money raised, splitting it 3 ways and dishing it out there. That is the epitome of getting the job done. And I love that. And I think with smaller charities, that can sometimes be easier than with a huge charity. You can keep it really simple, raise the money that you need, and put it forward to the projects that are really going to make a difference. And with small charities, you have less, levels, less people, and probably really working at the grassroots and knowing where the need is greatest and the need is there the most. And I think that's perfect. It's brilliant.
That's a very passionate response. Thank you very much. And it sounds like the charities tonight have chosen the word very well in order to represent what they're bringing
Definitely.
together. Dawood, have you got any thoughts to add to that? Yeah,
I just think the idea of connecting hearts and minds is exactly what you need to do, right? Because I think we all know that we need to make a difference in the world. I think after the pandemic, we are all reflecting on, we're thinking, and there's a quietening, right? I think the world is a quieter place, but it won't be forever. We're coming out again, slowly, and the noise is coming back. But in the hush, as we all reflect and we think about other people, and we've all been forced really at some point in this last 12 months to confront our own possible mortality. It could be me, right? In a way that we've never had to do before as a planet. I think we started to think about other people and about people outside of our families and people outside we all clap for the NHS every Thursday night here in the UK, and we've just been thinking about other people in a way we've not done before. And I think we do that with our hearts and with our minds, and connecting those hearts and minds, I think, is incredibly powerful. That's how you make a change. The fact that we can do this, I'm here, if someone is from Barbados, something from Barbados, we've got Canada, we've got Ghana, I can see my friend Yvette, who I know is in Paris. I mean, it's incredible. And we're all here in one place. And I think if we can connect and make change happen, then even this evening, if we can raise something more than we think we can. I love the idea of giving until it hurts, because we're all able to, everyone can give £5. Yeah, £5 not hard. But how about giving until it hurts? That's a whole different thing. But you do that and you start to change the world.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. Both very passionate responses. We do have another question from somebody who's here this evening. So Nick has asked, how do you see your relationship with the Ghanaian government, who ultimately should be responsible for the development of communities in the country? Afia, I'm going to come to you first.
That's a difficult one, isn't it? I think, yes, the government in everybody's country, has a responsibility to look after its citizens, but there is going to be gaps, and there's going to be people that fall through the cracks, and government can't do everything, and doesn't do everything, and won't do everything. And I think that's where charities step in. That's where community organizations step in to plug those gaps. So I think that's absolutely necessary, and I don't think that's specific to Ghana. I think that's the world over. We have those problems here in the UK. Here in my community in East London, I do a lot of community work here because we need to plug the gaps, right? So that's where charities step in. That's what they need to do. Often, like I mentioned earlier, charities like this are on the grassroots, know where the need is greatest, and know how to get plugged in without the bureaucracy of government or a huge organization. So actually, I think, charity really plays a very important part in society and community, and are really needed.
I agree with so much of what you said there, Afia, and particularly, the small charities being agile and being able to understand what's really needed and get it to the right people, assuming that they have the right level of funding, obviously. Dawit, have you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think Afia put it perfectly. That's exactly right. I mean, in a perfect world, the government would do everything. We all pay our taxes, so we would hope that the government would do what it needs to do. But the fact is, there's a gap. And so in a country like the United Kingdom, there is a very, very sophisticated network of charities that take, that are auxiliary to the government. And it doesn't matter whether you're talking about breast cancer or prostate cancer. I mean, it literally comes down to the type of cancer. There's an organization that's been set up to help deal with that. So in a perfect world, the government would deal with prostate cancer, but actually, and it does to some level, but we have these charities, this very sophisticated network of charities. And in a country like Ghana, it's not as developed when it comes to the charitable sector. And the Ghana government is up against it. It's fighting a pandemic. It doesn't have the same resources that the West has. And it would be naive, I think, to expect the government to do everything. But so what's the relationship? I think it's an understanding that the government can help. And so I've got many friends that I speak to who operate at that sort of level. And when I talk to them, what they will do is help make change if you need it. So, if they need to help change, cut some red tape or make things happen, then, they're open for a conversation. But I think we need charities like this to go in, and it's the private sector going in, and it's humanity going in and saying, we care about this particular issue. We care that young girls can go to school every day of the month. Why? Because they have sanitary products that, frankly, it's a human basic hygiene necessity. It's a hygiene factor, if you like, literally. It's a necessity that they should have this. And if they don't, then we're going to go in and we're going to fix it. They need to be educated. People need to understand how to set up businesses, and we're going to go in and we're going to help do that. So the charity sector, I think, in a perfect world, works alongside government.
That's fantastic. Thank you. We have come to the end of our time. I cannot thank you both enough. I've had a wonderful time being part of this and hearing your responses. As I said at the very beginning, I would love to talk to you both about all sorts of things, much more, and maybe we can get you back on another event soon. I'm sure everybody would love to hear more from both of you. Thank you once again. We are going to move on to the next part of the evening. So the ladies introduced earlier that we're moving on to a pitching part of the evening, so a dragon's den for each of the three. So we will be hearing from Leela, Sophia and Claire. So that's the reason we're here tonight, to hear from and support these three charities that are working throughout Ghana. Between them, they touch each corner of the country and collectively believe in the power of the youth in Ghana. And they want to raise awareness and support for the next generation of leaders. As a recap, you're going to hear from each of these three small charities: Action Through Enterprise, Girls Flow Free, and Move the World. They will each have 6 minutes to present, and then that will be followed by an opportunity for everyone else here to ask questions, and that's another 4 minutes. So in total, they'll each have 10 minutes. I'll be watching the clock closely to ensure that they all have the right amount of time. So apologies to all three of you if I have to cut you off mid-sentence, or if the Q&A is going long, I might have to cut that off as well. So apologies to everybody, so that I make sure that it is fair. So all the charities will be posting their email addresses in the chat channel so that you can follow up with the individual charities after the event, should you choose. We've also been recording this evening, and we will send the recording out to everybody who registered with the contact details and the donation link, so that you can share that with your friends and network in case anybody else would be interested in supporting these charities. And the link will be up for some time after this event tonight. So without further ado, let's get started with our first charity, which is Action Through Enterprise, who provide access to education, small business development and support for disabled children in Laura. Have I said that right?
Yes.
In the Upper West region. Leela, you have 6 minutes starting now.
Okay, don't put me on the clock until I've shared my screen. Right. Oops. Let's go back. Okay. So hello again. My name is Leela Shanti, Programs and Development Manager at Action Through Enterprise. We're a small charity creating opportunities for children and adults in one of the poorest remote areas of Ghana, called Laura, in the Upper West region. Laura is 18 hours by road from the capital. Laura is forgotten, it is neglected. The majority of people grow their own food to survive, and at the hardest times each year, many families can afford as little as 4 meals per week. And that is why I'm so passionate about what we do. Not enough children go to school, and few of those that do are likely to complete their basic education. High numbers of people head to big towns down south, desperate to earn money for food and other basic needs for their families. We have made a long-term commitment to working in Laura to bring positive change. We believe everybody has the right to access opportunities and that no child should go hungry. It runs 3 key initiatives in Laura, all guided by the needs of the communities we serve: a small business development program providing grants, training and mentoring to increase sustainable income, an access to education and school feeding program to enable more children to complete their basic education, and in a place where disabled children face discrimination and exclusion, we run a special needs awareness program providing vital support to disabled children and their families. All of our work is carried out by local Laura people, making change in their community. And I'm grateful that many of my colleagues are beaming in from Laura tonight. Thank you very much, guys. What makes 8 unique is our holistic approach of integrated programs to address a range of community needs in our hub model. The interlocking projects helps us to tackle poverty as a whole. What I wanted to, and we have 5 hubs across Laura supporting 24 rural communities. And by 2025, we're going to make sure that every person in Laura can access our programs if they wish to. We're a small charity and we're absolutely brilliant at what we're doing. What I want to tell you a little bit more about right now is our small business development programme and the proper long-term impact this has on individuals and Laura's wider economy. So many people in Laura have the skills, ideas and motivation which should lead to success, but live in a place where there is very limited opportunity. They simply need investment and to access the commercial education skills to get going. This is me sitting with an incredible husband and wife team, Teresa and Raymond, both with trade skills, but when we met them, neither were making enough money to support their growing family. I'm now going to tell you about them and how we've enabled them to improve their lives and others' lives in their communities. Teresa is a qualified seamstress whom we selected and provided with a grant in early 2016, and behind us you can see her small workshop. A few months later, you can clearly see the difference, an immense pride on Teresa's face. With that grant and supported business planning, she was able to bulk buy the materials and equipment she needed to grow her business. Here's Teresa receiving her monthly mentoring for her first year of Biz8 support alongside an integrated training programme. Teresa's business and her life is so much improved. Our programmes provide opportunities which truly change lives where they were otherwise out of reach. Teresa is now also training other women in the community in vocational skills, teaching, coaching, sharing, enabling other women to make an income, including Janet, funded by us, who took part in our 3-year apprenticeship programme. Having been locked out of education and training opportunities, we matched Janet to Teresa as her trainer, funded everything that Janet needed, including a bicycle, and provided the holistic care she needed to complete her training, where so many without support are unable to succeed. Having passed her exams, here she is at her graduation, second from right, with hub manager Prosper, who supported her the whole way through. Having completed her apprenticeship during the pandemic, Janet adapted to working from home, using a table she borrowed from her neighbour. She was bringing in income and building up her own customer base. In January, she was fast-tracked onto our Biz8 programme to receive training, mentoring, and this week, her grant to really kickstart her own small business. Janet has done the 3-year apprenticeship with Teresa and now is an empowered, independent woman running her own business and a female business owner in her own right. And now to Teresa's husband, Raymond. Raymond is one of the hardest working people you could meet. He's an absolute inspiration in his dedication to take care of his family. He's a qualified carpenter, but due to tough competition for work during the lean season, he's adapted to focus fully on farming. He's now part of our Biz8 programme through our dry season farming project, growing food when the ground in Laura is hard, dry and dusty. We provided Raymond with all the equipment and training he needed to enable him to expand his farm as a profitable small business. Raymond now grows more crops and provides a wider variety of produce for the community market when food is most scarce. Raymond is now able to generate year-round profit to provide for his family's needs and reinvest in his business, including the purchase of a motorbike with a trailer, which he proudly brought to the 8 office to show just how far he has come. In Raymond and Teresa is an example of 8's model working for a family, and it represents what we do at the community level, integrating support for greater impact to enable people to truly thrive. I'm incredibly proud of the work we do and of the team we have. Together, we're going towards a place where men and women can make income, where disabled children are included, and where all children go to school. I believe in connecting hearts and hands for the people of Laura, and want every person in Laura to be able to access our work if they wish to. I want to continue doing what we do and doing it better.
That's 6 minutes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We now have 4 minutes of Q&A. So if anybody's got any questions, please raise your hands and come off mute or put them in the chat channel. Anyone got anything they would like to ask Leela, perhaps about that final sentence she didn't quite manage to get out, or about any of the people that she talked about, or okay, so we have a question from Janice, who would like to hear more about SNAP.
Yeah, so our special needs awareness programme provides monthly support groups for disabled children and their parents who are extremely excluded from the community, often shut out of income generating opportunities. And these are children who we do care about crazily and passionately, who are otherwise forgotten. We make sure that we visit their homes, we make sure they're visible in the community, ensure that they're accepted first within their family, where they otherwise might not be, receive very difficult treatment within their family, and then within the wider community. We provide them with health insurance, support them to go to school, provide a play scheme, drop-in services, everything that we feel that they need to start to become fully included within society.
Thank you so much for your response there, Leela. Are there any other questions? Whilst we're waiting, is there anything else that you'd like to share with us, Leela? Because you do have a couple of minutes left.
Well, yeah, I mean, my final sentence was just really that, you know, we think that small is beautiful. We think that being connected to the community in the way that we are is what's making us work extremely well. We are able to find people that need support and provide an integrated way to give it to them. And I loved what David said about, you know, with opportunity, people can change the world. And what Afia said about the ripple effect. I feel that's exactly what we are achieving. I do have our Director of Operations and our Chief Executive with us tonight. I wonder if they would like to add anything.
You've got just under 2 minutes if you do.
Yeah, I will. Hi, I'm Sarah Gardner, Chief Executive of Action Through Enterprise, and really proud and delighted to hear everything Leela said, and have loved being part of this event tonight. Just echoing what Leela said, really, we think that small is brilliant, and we think we do a great job in the one place that we are working. We are coming up to 9 years old and feel we have just started on our journey of making sustainable, long-term, permanent change in Laura. So it's great to be here tonight, connecting with other charities and hearing about brilliant ideas and brilliant work. I wonder if Gabriel has anything to add, seeing as I've been
Oh, the pressure.
Hi everyone, my name is Gabriel Manibe, a native of Laura, and I'm well connected with ATE and the work that they do right in my hometown. My colleagues and I in the Laura office are a true manifestation of the work that ATE is doing currently. And we really love the work that ATE does, and we are throwing our very much support, helping our own communities, our own brothers and sisters and parents achieve their aim in life.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that, Gabriel. We are 20 seconds away from the 4 minutes, so I'm going to stop it there. And thank you so much, Leela, for sharing the great work that you and your team are doing in the Upper West region. So we are going to move on to Girls Flow Free. They provide menstrual health education and sanitary wear to end poverty, period poverty, across South, Central and Bono region, North and Upper West regions. Sophia, your 6 minutes starts now.
Thank you, Kelly, for the introduction. I will do well to stick within my 6 minutes. I am so passionate about Girls Flow Free and the work that we are doing for girls in Ghana, because menstruation to every woman is a very important process. But there is so much stigma around menstruation that people are afraid to talk about it or even seek help when the need arises. Here in the UK, 1 in 7 girls lack resources to afford safe and hygienic menstrual products. The case is not different for Ghana, where most families are struggling to afford basic necessities. GFF was founded by myself in May 2019 as a result of growing up in Ghana and seeing the lived experience and the struggle that girls went through when they were menstruating. I lived in Ghana most of my years before leaving to the UK in 2017. And going back to Ghana, I realized that the problem hadn't changed, and most girls were struggling to afford safe and hygienic menstrual products. So our work is in 9 regions in Ghana. We are working with 26 schools. And as I have said already, girls are struggling to afford safe and hygienic menstrual products, which means that some of them are trading sex for parts. Some of them are missing school on their periods, and some of them use rags to absorb blood when they are menstruating. And as a woman, you will know the effect of using unhygienic products to absorb blood. And for girls who are growing up, the effect of this on them, on their fertility, the long-term effect of it, we cannot even sum it up now. So our work is not just keeping girls in school, it is saving them and then promoting their health and their well-being. I would like to share a video to bring more context to what I am saying about period poverty and how our work started in Ghana in May 2019.
We started delivering menstrual health education and free menstrual products to girls in a tiny school from a small town in the Ashanti region. Today, our work is across 9 regions in 26 schools. This spans across several miles from our office in Kumasi. Most of these schools are in the hinterlands, which involves traveling in bad weather conditions on motorable roads to reach these communities. Although a difficult challenge and possibly unpleasant, we go beyond this to make sure every girl has access to pads and education. For us, every journey is a lifeline to a community, to a girl's health, and an investment into their future.
Thank you for watching that. We've had the opportunity to work with some amazing volunteers in Ghana, and these are professionals working with the Ghana Health Service and with the Ghana Education Service. We work with communities, and the reason is that we are able to reach the girls and to get to the communities who need our services and our products most. We work through a 3-way, like a triage. So our first program is the monthly outreach. So the monthly outreach is a response to schools who connect with us on our website to say that we think our girls need menstrual health education. So we go to the school, give them menstrual health education, and then that is it. That is the first contact. And we also have our annual menstrual health education program, which is called Shades of Red. So Shades of Red will go to the very remote communities in all the regions of Ghana who we cannot get access to. So we bring all the schools in that community together and give them menstrual health and hygiene education, as well as free menstrual products. And then we also have our beneficiary schools. So these are girls that we are supporting every term with free pads, and we are supporting them for a period of 5 years. With that, I will go on to my next video, and I hope I have the time to share this, Kelly.
You've got about 40 seconds.
Okay.
More than 500 million women around the world experience period poverty each month. This is due to financial challenges, lack of access to MHM tools, period products, and water and changing facilities. In Ghana, where most families struggle to afford basic necessities, this situation is worsened by the stigma around menstruation. Girls from low-income families resort to rags, toilet tissues, and other unsafe materials to absorb blood during menstruation. This puts them at risk of exclusion from school, infection, sexually transmitted diseases, early pregnancies, and dropping out of school altogether. Our comprehensive menstrual health education gives girls knowledge about their reproductive system, knowledge about period products, knowledge about how their bodies work, for them to make informed decisions about their bodies and period products. We believe that no girl should trade sex for pads, drop after school during her periods because of a natural process like menstruation. We cannot change the world, but with your help, we can change a girl's world for a better future.
Excellent, thank you. Time is up, but I will come back to you depending on what happens in the questions. So if anybody's got any questions for Sophia, if you'd like to either unmute yourself or put them in the chat channel, that would be great. Okay, so Joe is asking whether you teach them to make reusable pads. She has seen pads that they can make themselves with a washable absorbent cause. Is that something that you do or that you're considering?
Yes, we do teach girls how to make reusable pads. But the thing about reusable pads is because there is a lot of preaching on it for sustainability, people fail to realize that it's not every community that is suited to use the reusable pads. There are some communities where they don't have access to water, they don't have access to soap. So giving them the reusable pads will be compounding the problem because the girls cannot wash the pads and reuse it, which means that the only option for them is to use the disposable. And that makes our work so unique because we tailor-made our education to suit the communities that we go to in recognition to their cultural and their religious states. Yes, we do teach them, but not for every one of the communities.
I'm just going to cut you there because I do have, you've only got 1 minute left and you've got another question come in from Janice, who says, brilliant campaign. How well is the reusable moon cup received?
Okay, so because of the stigma attached to the cup and because of religious and cultural prohibitions, most of the girls that we go to in Ghana are not keen on using the cups because using the cups, they think is going to break their virginity. And that is the cultural sort of connotation that is got to do with using the menstrual cup in Ghana. So yes, some of them will welcome it, but due to religious and cultural restrictions, not every one of the girls will welcome the cup, even with education.
Thank you so much. We have a few moments left. So are there any other questions? Or Sophia, do you have any final words you'd like to share before your 10 minutes is up?
Yes, I would like to say that our work has been very impactful. We are a very new charity, just getting to 2 years. But since May 2019, we've reached over 5,000 girls. Fantastic. And in the next few weeks, we are commissioning our first ever wash facility with funding from Ghana School Aid for one of our beneficiary schools in Northern Ghana. So tonight, give us generously as we can so that we'll be able to support a lot more girls.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You've got 15 seconds. One final question. How do you source the sanitary towels?
We source our sanitary towels from In-Kind Direct. So In-Kind Direct gets passed from Always and from Body Foam, and they sell them to us very cheap at 20p per pack, which is like giving this to us for free.
Okay, sorry,
so
time's up. Oh, I'm so sorry to have to cut you off.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing the work that you do and for reminding us, because it is so easy to forget the importance of educating about the menstrual products and the lack of access to it as being, you know, a basic human right. And we know that we don't always recognize that that's happening on a regular basis. So last and definitely not least, I'm slightly biased obviously, we head to the Ga West district on the border of the Greater Accra region and the Eastern region, where Move the World is based and running global citizen education programs. Claire, your time starts now.
Here we go. Right, so my name is, oh, I can't see that. My name is Claire Hardy, and I am the co-founder and managing director for Move the World. We are a small female-led charity focused on educating youth in Ghana to be active global citizens. Move the World legally came into existence in 2016, but its work and relationships really began 4 years before, in 2012. It was a completely different name at that point and a completely different focus, primarily on dancers, but it was Move the World in the making. In 2013, co-founder Megan Taylor and I met and decided that we could really do something together. The connection with Ghana started originally with a Google search, and then a phone call with the renowned and now late Bernard Woma, followed by an initial trip in 2015. On that trip, we met Phyllis. She was 11 at the time, and she, actually Dawood's touched on this, but she told me that she was going to be president of Ghana one day. And to this day, I still do believe her. And this wasn't a young child wanting to rule the world or take over, but this was a girl who saw herself worthy as a woman to take on the vision of being Ghana's first female president. I felt at that moment a desire for each girl and boy to have that confidence and belief in themselves. More recently, I met Ama. And you can't really see her face in this picture because we're all masked up, but she is 10 years old and lives in Medie, which is a growing community just outside the city of Accra. She enjoys school and she excels in her classes. She shows up early, she stays late to make sure the classroom's ready for the next day. However, it's estimated that by the time she's 12, she will be almost 4 years behind her global peers in terms of her confidence, her academic attainment, and her skill set for the world of today. That's 4 years before Ama wasn't able to go to school for an entire academic year due to COVID-19. Recent studies suppose that 65% of current primary school children will work in jobs that do not yet exist. With this knowledge, it's imperative that we prepare this next generation with the skills to think creatively and critically, and to ensure that each child has the opportunity to develop their capabilities to be successful. And our Get Global program does that. It's a global citizen education program designed and delivered by local trained changemakers, our facilitators. It's an engaging and reflecting experience that allows students, facilitators, and classroom teachers to learn alongside each other. Each session, students participate in experiential activities, such as bracelet making, planting beans, mindfulness, and storytelling, to explore themes such as poverty, hunger, good health and well-being, and gender equality. Our platform is an engaging, reflective, safe, structured environment that opens up conversation and critical thinking based on the learning themes of the UN's 2030 Sustainable Development Goals, or the SDGs. To complement the program, each student receives a Get Global passport, which acts as a learning journal to use throughout the entire program. Since piloting these programs originally in 2019, Get Global has worked with 414 students aged 10 to 12 years old in schools and community settings in the Ga West District. We're focused in on the first 6 Sustainable Development Goals, and we've employed 10 local trained facilitators who are the backbone to our success. We have recently trained 10 teacher guides to support their programs in their own classrooms, and we have 11 partner schools so far. The increase for demand for our programs has been constantly going up, and so we've been forward planning and are currently creating our next stage of programming, Get Global 2.0, which will launch this summer and focus on the SDGs 7 to 12 for Form 1 students who are roughly the age between 13 and 15. This will be a follow-on program with the intention of yet another installation of Get Global 3.0 in the future to complete all 17 SDGs. And this allows us to develop and grow alongside of our students. Get Global is currently a 7-month program. It's facilitated 100% by our facilitators, and it costs £1,600. And although that might be a really steep donation to make tonight, £120 trains a facilitator and provides them with lasting job opportunities. £65 provides a student the ability to take part in the program. And £20 will provide Get Global passports for an entire class. We believe that global citizen education enhances the right to not just education, but quality education. And this activates students to be global citizens that make a mark in the world. Get Global is doing this, and tonight, which you're all here for, is an event to support raising up the next generation of global citizens in Ghana. With the donation big or small, Phyllis and Amma, who I mentioned earlier, will be one step closer to leapfrogging their global peers.
That's 6 minutes.
And get left behind.
You actually had a couple of extra seconds because I forgot I'd put myself on mute. So thank you so much for sharing that. Does anybody have any questions for Claire and the Move the World programme? If you want to take yourself off mute or put the questions in the chat channel, that would be great. And whilst we're waiting for any of those to filter through, was there anything else that you wanted to say, Claire, that I cut you off from?
We actually have Laurencia, who is on the ground. She's our program director, and wondering if she would say a few things. She actually had a meeting with our facilitators today.
Laura, are you there? Are you going to speak to us?
Yes. Yeah, thank you so much for organizing this program. I believe we are going to be able to raise some funds that could split 3 ways to all the incredible organizations that are on here. Our program, as Claire has mentioned, and she has said amazing things about the program, and meeting with the facilitators today, we are all excited about our the Get Global 2 that will be running come July. And then the new school that we have onboarded for the May Wave. That's something that I just wanted to add on. And if you do have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Fabulous, thank you, Laurencia. Everyone's decided they've gone a bit shy, so we have no questions. Claire, is there anything else you want to use your final 2 minutes of time? Otherwise, we will move on to the next section.
I guess just to follow up, I think this year for us has been monumental in the way that we've structured Move the World and the way that we've developed. Move the World has a saying in-house that we are a sailboat, not a speedboat. So yes, I mentioned our goal is to run GG3, as we call it, but that is once we feel like we're in a secure place. We've been working really, really hard to ensure that Get Global 1, which is currently running, is running well. And I feel really excited that that sailboat, although has probably veered off numerous times, and Kelly as a trustee for the last 2.5 years can tell us we really have veered, but we're really starting to pick up the wind in our sails and starting to go further with it. So I'm really excited to see what this next year brings, pandemic or not. I think there's a lot of fun things coming up.
I would add to that, I don't think we've veered. I think you guys have gone from strength to strength. You know, Dawid may have embarrassed you earlier, but I tell the core team, Laurencia, Caroline, Megan and Claire on a continual basis how inspirational and awesome they are. The stuff that they've achieved over the last couple of years, particularly the last year with COVID and the pandemic, is just awe-inspiring, quite frankly. So thank you for your time. I don't think any questions have come in, so thank you, Claire, thank you, Leela, and thank you, Sophia, for sharing all the programs that you're running. Thank you for everyone for the questions and for listening. So, as I'm sure you're aware, there is probably so much more that these charities could tell us about. They are all putting their contact details into the chat channel. I can see it all coming through. As I said, we're also going to send out an email after the event so that you'll have all of the details, so you can follow up with any of the charities should you want to. But now we are moving on to the fundraising part of the event. So, you know, what we need to try and do is make all of the things that the 3 charities this evening have talked to us about. We need to try and make that a more sustainable reality. You know, we know these programs are in place, but they need to keep running. They need to get stronger, and they need to evolve and develop. And as we said at the very beginning, it can be difficult sometimes to decide where and who to support. So this collaboration of 3 charities is making it easy for you. So whatever you pledge or donate tonight will get split equally between the 3 charities, so that they can go ahead and improve and enhance their programs, empowering the youth communities that they work within. So what would be really great, the donation link is in the chat channel. So it would be great if you could go off and push your donations through that link, or post in the chat channel, you know, what your pledge is. If you can't quite manage to get it done tonight, then could you pledge an amount for tonight, and make sure that you do it tomorrow with the links that are in the chat channel and that we'll send to you. Also, if you could send the recording of this this evening and the donation details to your friends, colleagues, networks, anybody who you think might be interested in supporting the amazing work of these 3 charities, we'd be very grateful for that as well. So I can't actually see pledges as they're coming in. So I've just seen something in the chat channel saying we are already at £1,250. That is amazing. Thank you very much. So if anything else is coming in, I'd also like to remind everyone, I've really liked Dawood's point of view earlier, that you know, it should be about giving until it hurts. You know, obviously every £5 is gratefully received, but if everyone gave until it hurt, then we would be able to, these 3 charities would be able to do way more with the money that we fundraise and support more beneficiaries, more communities. So we've had another pledge come in from Charles. Thank you, Charles. He pledges £75 to be split between the 3 charities. Thank you very much. That's great. Anybody else fancy joining Charles and pledging an amount tonight? And failing that, because I'm sure you are bored of this. Oh, another one, Margaret, thank you. Margaret is pledging £60 to be split 3 ways. Thank you very much. Any advances on that? Anybody else want to join the party and add a pledge into the chat channel? Or feel free, you know, it'd be great if anybody wants to come off mute, share their thoughts about what they've heard tonight and what they have found particularly inspiring, so that we can, you know, share thoughts and inspire each other to start pledging more and to start donating. Apparently there is another donation come in from Amma. Do we have any details about that, or are we?
£50, thank you, Amma.
Oh, £50, thank you very much, Amma, that's great.
Also, thank you to Gabby for £30. Vicky, thank you for another £30. And Dawood, a very, very special thank you for £1,000.
Fantastic. We've got another pledge coming on the chat channel from Jennifer, £150 to split between the 3 charities. Thank you very much, Jennifer. Very generous. I think that's great. I've just realized I'm still timing Claire's speaking time, even though she's gone now. Thank you so much. Everyone is being very generous. Again, if anybody fancies taking themselves off mute and sharing their thoughts from this evening, any pearls of wisdom that you particularly thought were interesting or inspiring, I'd be happy to hand the mic over so that somebody else can say a few words. Anybody want to be brave enough to share some thoughts about the event tonight, or anybody else got another pledge that they'd like to share with us in the chat channel or directly onto the donation link, which is being monitored by Claire by the looks of it? Okay, there's another donation from Sarah. Thank you so much. That's great. Do we have a total? Do we know how much we've managed to raise so far?
Quick math. We've got 1,280 on our giving page, plus
On the spot. I put Claire on the spot here. Oops, sorry. So I'm just gonna do the maths in the background and ramble on a bit more to encourage people to do a bit more pledging or a bit more direct donating through the link. And once again, I invite any one of you to share your thoughts on the event so far. Claire, was that you?
We are currently at 1,565.
Fantastic, that's great. Thank you everyone who has put in a direct donation onto the link so far. And if any of those pledges that came in the chat channel haven't quite made it to the donation link, thank you, because that will take our total up as well. So that's brilliant.
Just a quick reminder too, that if you are in the UK, we can claim gift aid. So with gift aid online, we're at 1,572 pounds. So
like, wow,
right, it just went up.
Like, wow, if I'd gone up to 15,000, I'm like, wow, congratulations everyone. That's definitely giving until it hurts, isn't it? So so that's fantastic, and a great reminder about gift aid. Yeah, if you are in the UK, if you could let us know, then we can claim the gift aid on that, and it makes your money work harder, which is even better news. Again, one last shout out, I think, for asking if anybody would like to pledge anything else, whether anybody would like to be brave and say a few words.
Yes.
Was that somebody? Was that somebody?
Yes, it's Jennifer.
Hi, Jennifer. What would you like to say?
Well, I just want to say thank you to all the 3 charities doing what they are doing for my country, Ghana. I'm so proud of all of you. And, you know, 2 of the charities are actually, they don't come from Ghana, but they are affiliated to Ghana somehow, for them to have that passion to go to Ghana and do what they are doing. Ghana is a wonderful country, and you supporting us like that, you know, it's amazing. And I am part of the GFF group. This charity is amazing. It's so close to my heart, because it was only by chance that I met Sophia and the family and what they were doing, and instantly my heart just went to what they were doing, and I'm now one of the board of trustees, and the amazing work that GFF is doing is great. And hearing about all these other charities, I think that everyone listening or who was on the platform, I think that we can all do our bit. It doesn't matter, you don't come from Ghana, but we have to start from somewhere. Starting from Ghana, as Sophia used to say, that this charity has started small in Ghana, but it is actually worldwide. It is going to go worldwide. And I believe strongly that this will happen. So we need all your support to get each and every charity presenting this evening to go further. So your giving today should not end. Pledge something, even if it's £5 a month to each charity. We will be very grateful. Thank you very much.
Very beautifully put, Jennifer, and I particularly like that. You know, that aspiration that the programs may be, you know, more local in Ghana right now, but I think every single one of these charities has the capability and the culture and the team to take it worldwide. I know that's certainly the case, and my ambition for Move the World, even if they don't quite believe it yet, but you know, I think it's amazing what these charities can achieve. And I think one final, sorry Jennifer, what I was going to say is thank you very much for your donation as well. And one final pledge that's come through on the chat channel is from Audrey. Another £100 to split between the 3 charities. So thank you so much. That's been really wonderful. I'm going to say thank you to all of the 3 charities for presenting your amazing programs and for inspiring us this evening. I want to say another thank you to David and Afia for their participation this evening. I thought it was a fantastic conversation, and I desperately want to hear more from both of them. And I am now, in the interest of time and finishing on time, I'm now going to ask the ladies if they have any final words that they would like to share with you before we let you go back to your evenings.
Yeah, just a very, very quick note on behalf of Action Through Enterprise, Girls Flow Free, and Move the World. Thank you so much for your support this evening. We are currently at £1,710 before gift day, so that's absolutely incredible. Thank you, thank you, thank you. A really big thank you to Kelly for jumping in and running this event for us tonight. Really appreciate your time and your expertise. Thank you to Dawood and Afia for your time and your incredible words. I definitely have a page full of quotes going forward, so thank you. We are hoping to run more events as Nkabom, as a collective, so we would love to stay in touch with you. If you have any questions that weren't answered tonight, all of the charities have put our information, but we do have a fancy new email address as well that we will be monitoring. So if you have questions in regards to how we're going to work all together or when's the next one, please do get in touch. I will put that email address into the chat. Thank you, Madasipa, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Claire. Wonderful.